This was a bill that I was quite hesitant to sign for a number of reasons. But before we signed it, I checked with the engineering department of the highway department and satisfied myself that it wouldn't cause appreciable damage to the bridges and would cause only nominal damage to the highways. I guess if I were to give one reason why I signed it, it was because I found that it was necessary to a major industry of Oklahoma, that is the trucking industry, to have this bill in order to compete with other states because of their higher load limits than we had. Five bills dealing with higher education that authorized all of the colleges and universities in Oklahoma to further extend their bonded indebtedness and for the purpose of building buildings on the campuses. One of the reasons why that was not signed was because of the fact that this legislature referred a $30 million building bond issue for higher education to a vote of the people. And I think that the people should decide whether or not more buildings are needed on the campuses and more indebtedness, consequently, rather than the various regents of the institutions as provided in this bill.
I was at meetings in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, way back in the very early days when we started to organize the Steelworkers Organizing Committee. I've been at hundreds of meetings all around this community, and I remember how diligently you fought for the establishment of your union in 1941. Took years of struggle to get around to the point where you could be recognized by the Bethlehem Steel Corporation. This was true of steelworkers throughout most of the land. They had a struggle to get their union established. Some places it came easy, some places it came hard. And I know that you would not permit me, if I wanted to give up these hard-won rights of yours. I know you would not permit me to give up the United Steelworkers of America, because I know how you love the United Steelworkers of America, and you're all strong men of steel.
We're behind you!
Each part of it was rather difficult, and it would be hard to decide which was the hardest. The questions, of course, not knowing what the judges would pick for us to be asked, was a little bit difficult. The rest of it we had planned and worked for, so I could say perhaps that the questions were the hardest part.
I've noticed in almost all Miss America contests that winners generally have a lucky charm of some sort, and I see one on your wrist right now. What's the meaning of that one?
This was given to me by a friend in Tulsa, Mrs. DeWeese, and it is my favorite Bible scriptures. It's sort of been my competition scriptures. I have used it at all times when I am competing. It is Proverbs 3, and the verses are 5 and 6. I felt the one thing that I had been studying piano for 14 years, so I felt that this was the one thing I could really rely on. And as I said, I am sort of a perfectionist. I have never played to satisfy myself yet. I guess I'll stop when I finally do. But I was so disappointed in the way I had done it. And when it turned out as it had, and I was Miss Oklahoma, I was so thrilled because I felt, well, maybe I had done a little better than I thought I had.
Mr. Huff, you mentioned in your talk this afternoon that there will be a probable need for policing the industry once we have legal liquor in Oklahoma. Could you explain that for us, please, sir?
Well, by policing the industry, I mean watching all these things that people will do and will ask you to do. They'll ask you to deliver on Sunday. They'll ask you to sell after hours. You'll have minors that'll come in and want to buy from you. You'll have intoxicated people come in and want to buy. And by policing the industry, I mean making sure that you are not greedy enough that you'll go after that last dollar in this business.
Why is it so necessary to police your industry like this once legal liquor is established?
Well, because even though we have legal liquor, we will still have people that think legal liquor will not work. And that the best way to have this industry establish itself as a legal industry like any other industry is to have a strict enforcement of the law and a strong feeling of responsibility among the retailers to live up to the law. Some things that will be very vague here until they get defined, and this will be in the way of showing people how to get to your store. There'll probably be retailers until they get checked. Will probably find ways of putting lights outside their place to call attention to it. And they should stay away from these things. It's not in the law, and later on they'll be turned down for them.
One of them is House Bill 748, dealing with the, shall we say, mustering out pay for prisoners leaving the penitentiaries. The law provides now that they shall receive $5 when they are discharged. This new law would have given them $30, which would have been good, but no appropriation was made to pay for it, and therefore we couldn't sign it into law. Another bill here, Senate Bill 298, dealing with public contractors, would have created a board of 5 contractors who would have decided or been in a position to decide what other contractors could do business with the state or any subdivision of the state. As the law now provides, the State Highway Department or the subdivision of the state makes that decision, and I think that they should, rather than one contractor passing upon another's right to do business with the state. Another one was Senate Bill 216, which would have authorized or would have required that when on a federal aid secondary road, the county commissioners brought it up to federal standards and furnished the materials, it would have required the State Highway Department to come in and at no charge to the county commissioners blacktop that road. Perhaps this is a good idea. Certainly, a lot of these county roads or secondary roads need to be blacktop, but there just were not sufficient funds and are not sufficient funds for the for the State Highway Department to do this.